Hi, I'm Ross Jeffries, and welcome to the Advanced Unstoppable Confidence video. This video is going to show you some incredibly powerful exercises to build a very powerful, even magical self with which to do some amazing work in the world. You're also going to see an exercise for clearing out, well, I like to call it gunk. All the old ideas, the old energies, the old experiences that were holding you back. So, tune in, watch carefully, do the exercises, and get ready for unstoppable confidence on the advanced level. Okay, so what I want to do first of all is this seminar is going to be a mix of understanding and hands-on stuff. We're going to be asking you to do some strange stuff. You will feel uncomfortable during some of the seminar. That's great. I've learned to embrace discomfort. In fact, one of the things, and this is not planned in any of my notes, but I want you guys to consider the magic in embracing discomfort. Because if you think about it, what are the things that are comfortable to you? When you think about what makes you comfortable, what are those things that make you comfortable? Things you already know. Well, if they're what you already know, where's the room for progress? If it's what you already know, there's room for practice. But where's the room for progress if it's what you already know? And if part of magic is stepping outside of what you had defined as being your limits and discovering possibilities that you didn't even know you could want because they're so far beyond what you could imagine, then maybe moving towards discomfort is a magical act. So let's start thinking about that. I want you to stop just for a minute and really think about some areas in your life where you experience a lot of discomfort, where you feel like you're being pushed right up against your boundary of what you feel you can do. Think about that for a minute. Let's talk about this just for a minute. Since it's where I started with, we'll work with what we started. Where in your lives do you have areas where you frequently feel uncomfortable? Like you're pushed right up against the limits of what you feel comfortable doing. Volunteer. Anybody? Anybody. I'll tell you, I feel uncomfortable around my brothers because they're born-again Christians and they're constantly preaching that crap. Okay? I feel uncomfortable sitting there in silence. So I don't often sit in silence with them. So come on, somebody, anybody, speak up. Where are you?
I'm in sales, and if I'm having terrible results, I do a show and it costs me a couple of thousand, and I haven't sold any product at all, and so.
So you're up against the boundary of either a belief or a skill. You're either missing beliefs or skills or both. There's something in that act that you haven't been able to get around. In fact, I certainly hope everyone here has an area in their life in which they feel stuck, because this first day is going to be about ungluing yourself. It's going to be about unspelling, uncursing, undoing, and ungluing. So who here has an area of their life where they feel stuck, pretty stuck? It could be in the realm of seduction. It could be in the realm of business. Who has an area where they feel stuck? Come on. You wouldn't be here if you don't feel stuck in some area. Don't lie to me. Come on. You don't feel stuck anywhere? Oh, well, then raise your hand. Come on. Who feels stuck? A lot of my investigation into magic is getting past areas where I was still deeply stuck. Despite all the technology that I already had at my disposal, I was still deeply stuck in some ways, and I wanted to get around it. You're going, but Ross, you're the great guru. How could you be stuck? Well, I'm human too. So I'm going to show you some profoundly powerful ways to unglue, to unstick, to unspell, to uncurse. Okay? So we have someone stuck in the area of financial progress. Who's stuck with females? Come on, despite all the speed seduction. I'm a nice guy this weekend. I'm not going to yell at you. Who has not been able to get speed seduction to really work for them the way they want it to? Come on, raise your hand. It's totally okay. I'm not going to yell. I'm the kindler, gentler Ross this weekend, really. I'm serious. I am. Raise your hand. You're stuck. Come on. You wouldn't be here if you weren't stuck in some way. Okay, we're going to unglue all of that, I promise you. Who's our friend who came from where'd you come from? New Zealand. Pretty good. I knew you'd be here. You created that. Just tell them, just for the record, how far back on the wait list were you to get a ticket out here?
I came across 3 continents, 4 countries. It's 97.
He was 97 on the wait list in front of you, but somehow you jumped to the front of the list.
Just they just pushed them out of the list and said, this guy just said, hey, you can do this for this guy, and bang, it was done.
Okay, and also, you needed, you were down 1,000.
No money for the seminar.
Where did the money come from?
Where did it come from? I found it in other accounts.
You didn't know it was there, or you didn't know the accounts were there?
No, things added up, and then the airline gave me a discount of $400.
Why did wait? It put you from number 97 to having the seat, and it gave you a $400 discount.
Yeah.
It's all coincidence. Anyway, so I want to make this seminar the first day about ungluing and unsticking yourself. By the way, speaking of glue and stickiness, there's going to be females in the room on and off throughout the weekend, so we'll have fun with them too. Don't sarge them. There's plenty of sarging stuff, and if I'm in a really good mood and you guys are really good, I'll take you out sarging like Saturday night. Okay? I may. Yes, sir.
Is there going to be any handouts like when we do the exercise?
There'll be some handouts, yeah.
So that I don't have to keep track of participating more.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So, good. So good. Everybody's stuck somewhere. That's good. I like that. I think part of my definition of magic is a set of tools to profoundly unstick yourself and to look at deeper levels of experience that most people don't even know are there and to begin to manipulate those elements. Just for the sake of clarifying for those of you who are like really hardcore, who here has a science background? Which, by the way, I respect. I'm not putting it down. I have a great interest in physics. I'm learning some interesting things. So, who has a science background? What's your name, sir?
Marvin.
Marvin. What's your science background in?
Biology.
Biology and chemistry and math. How about you?
I've done lots of
Engineering? Cool. Mechanical, electrical? All those? Cool. Who else has a science background? Electronics engineer? Cool. I believe science is a way of looking at things, and the scientific method is a pretty magical thing because it can help you disprove things that are false and winnow down to some things that are true. And it also is useful in creating technologies that work. If it weren't for science, we wouldn't have airplanes or any of those other cool things. So I'm all for science. I'm not for materialism. I don't think the universe in the most important ways works in cause and effect. I don't think cause and effect is what gets us what we most want in life. I do think cause and effect does work in the physical universe. I do think there is such a thing as gravity. If you step off a building after taking today's course, I guarantee you will fall at 32 feet per second. I don't know, what's terminal velocity? Obviously, comes a point where those velocities no longer add up.
I think it's 120 miles.
Like 120 miles an hour. You're going to hit. Nothing I show you is going to show you how to not do that. I may be able to show you how to make other people want to step off the building, but that's another... See, that's useful. No, I can't do that. Well, maybe some people could. A lot of people are on the edge of that anyway. Modern society makes them want to do that. So, in any event, I do have a good respect for science. I don't think that the scientific method is necessarily useful in finding some other levels of what can work. Okay, I don't believe that in the realm of the mind and in the realm of getting what you want, cause and effect is the most important thing. And particularly when it comes to being unstuck, cause and effect and chronology has nothing to do with it. The chronology of events has nothing to do with how you're stuck or how to unstick yourself. Nothing. Absolutely nothing to do with that. I'm going to prove that to you. Oh, okay. So are we following so far? Any questions so far? I want to make this a lot more... Yes, sir?
When you say chronology, you mean like the history, like past experience?
Yeah, the fact that all those past experiences of what happened to you with women, I'm assuming you're someone who's kind of stuck with women. I may be wrong. Maybe you're doing real. Good. You're unsticking yourself. Good. And as you have become unstuck, part of that process has been to invest yourself in different ideas that you didn't used to have before and making them more a part of who you are. Right. Okay. Good. Very good. I like that. So what was your chronology?
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify.
Yeah, it's not that you are the way you are because of what's happened in the past. What's happened in the past was because of the way you were. Or maybe it wasn't. All I'm trying to say is the fact that you have history on a subject isn't what's keeping you stuck there. and you can unstick yourself pretty rapidly doing some interesting things. I want to talk a little bit this morning about linguistics and how linguistics can keep you stuck, and that there's no difference between the curses in fairy tales where people were cursed and how language can act to limit your abilities and what you think you can believe in. Does that make sense? Probably not yet, but it will. Before I do it, let's go around the room and see what is it that you're looking to achieve here? What's the big thing for you? What do you want? What's your name?
I'm Brian.
Brian, what do you want? What are you looking for from this seminar?
More of like, with women and also with business.
More of with women, but you didn't say what. Okay, the first lesson in magic is to form a statement of intent. Before you do anything else, you want to form your statement of intent. So when I go around the room and ask, what I want you to say is, it is my intent to. It is my intent to.
It is my intent to develop better relationships with women
It is my intent to develop better relationships with women
and business.
and business. Okay, so write that down. That's his. It is my intent to. What's your name?
Jason.
Okay, what do you want? What do you want? What's your intent?
It is my intent to learn as much of whatever you're going to teach us so we can have fun.
I like that. Okay, write it down. What's your name?
RJ.
RJ. I like it already.
And I was RJ before the interview.
You were RJ before I was, because RJ ain't my real name. But go ahead. What's your intent? It is my intent to
My intent to break out of this rut I'm in,
break out of this rut I'm in.
improve my life financially and my relationships.
Okay. Write that down. Write it down exactly as you told me. And statements of intent can change. It is my intent to break out of this rut I'm in and improve my... I forget what else he said. How you doing, buddy? Is Luch coming at all?
I didn't speak today.
Okay. I hope he knows this is going on. I think I told him. I'm pretty sure I did. Now, I'm not going to criticize or change any of these yet. I want you guys to feel free to speak freely, and then we'll correct later. Okay? Give us a short statement of intent, because I know you're into this. What is your intent?
My intent is
It is my intent to
create the most heroic persona and to step into a whole new character and attract and manifest unbelievable results on a level.
You need to punch it up a little bit. No, write that down. This is my friend Jan. Jan is a hypnotist and teaches some cool stuff. Jan is a model for the way all students should treat me, but we won't get into those details. How is she doing? She's married now, right? Never mind. Yeah, go ahead.
My intent to apply.
What's your name first?
Tony.
Tony, go ahead.
My intent to apply what I learned from this seminar in my business and personal life.
Okay, write it down. What's your name? Tell everybody.
My name is Ed.
Okay, Ed, what's your intent? It is my intent to?
It's my intent to master seduction and continually open and manifest to ever increasing velocity.
I like it. Very good. What's your name?
Marvin.
What's your intent? It is my intent to?
My intent to forward my progress with the seduction.
Good.
To improve my relationship with my boss, my partner.
Good.
And to understand and have more control over the psychic or types of things that I've noticed recently happen.
Good. I like it. I'm just writing a little note to myself. Very good. Jim.
It is my intent to feel totally worthy, attractive, and desirable to very attractive women that will result in sensual pleasure.
Okay.
I'm Sid, and it is my intent to understand people as fully as possible and to expand my influence as much as possible.
Okay, I like it. What's your name? Tell everybody. Okay, David.
It's my intent to use my mind in uncommon, useful ways to manifest my desires.
It is my intent to use my mind in uncommon but useful ways to manifest my desires. Very good. By the way, your statements of intent, you can modify them, change them, erase them, do whatever you want. Very good. Next. Jim.
It is my intent to lose the belief.
It is my intent to lose the belief.
lose the beliefs that I have that limit me and to seek balance.
Okay, so you want to lose limits and seek balance. Okay.
My name's Jesse, and it's my intent to improve my relationships by understanding people better, and also to find out what's positive, and to unglue the. I have a lot of shoulds.
A lot of what?
Shoulds. You know, the rules, a lot of imposed rules I've already started across. But I think there's a lot of limits I put on myself.
Okay, now that you're getting into the explanation, so keep your statement of intent. Okay, so tell me your statement of intent again.
It's my statement. Well, I guess it's my statement.
It is my intent to
Find out what is possible while ungluing the limits I've imposed on myself.
Okay, I'll take that. Grab that, buddy. What's your?
I'm
it is
Tony.
my intent. What's your name?
Tony.
It is my intent.
It's my intent to have more control over my life.
Okay.
My name is Doug, and it's my intent to have more fun, be more playful, experience more ecstasy, and live more outrageously.
Good.
Hi, my name is David. It's my intent to gain the ability to read people and improve my communications.
Okay. So one of the useful things about looking at statements of intent is to see the neurolinguistic glue that's contained inside of them. I want to talk a little bit about language and magic and how they go hand in hand, and they really do. Is everyone here familiar with one degree to another with fairy tales? You know how in the fairy tales there's often curses involved? For example, the handsome prince offends the witch, and what does she do to him? She curses him so he's turned into what? A frog, right? Or the beautiful princess offends the ugly hag, and she puts the princess to sleep, right? Or the princess bites a poisoned apple and is put to sleep and cannot awaken to the world until the prince comes along and eats her pussy. I mean, kisses her on the lips, right? Are we familiar with these stories? Is there anyone from a culture where no stories like these are told at all? Or I'm not making fun. I really want to know if someone's not up to speed. It's a small enough group where we can bring everyone up to speed. We all familiar with this? Now, of course, fairy tales are a load of bullshit, right? I mean, no one has ever really given a poison apple and put to sleep. No one's turned into a frog, literally. But language can be used to curse people. If you look at a curse as a construct that keeps people trapped in a certain condition or a certain identity. So let's define curse. A curse is a construct that keeps people trapped in a certain condition or a certain identity. Poof, you're a frog. Poof, you're a sleeping beauty. Such that that person cannot free themselves. They always have to have outside help to lift the curse, correct? Let's make sure we all understand this. So a curse is a construct that keeps the person trapped in a certain identity and or a certain condition. For example, anyone here ever have the belief that they're unattractive to women? Right? And if you have that belief, what happens? Do you even notice it if a woman is attractive to you, or if she is attracted to you, are you able to close the deal as long as you have that belief that you're unattractive?
You may believe that it's a certain exception, like she's the only person who likes me.
Right, and then you push her away. Okay, and then you just get deeper into the curse of believing that it's true. So a curse is any construct that keeps a person trapped in a certain identity and or condition. Now, in the fairy tales, the frog can't free himself from the curse, correct? Is that correct? You can participate, guys, and let's have some verbal feedback. I'm not, this is not a speed seduction seminar, but nonetheless, I appreciate the feedback. Is that correct? Can the frog break his own curse? Can the princess arouse herself from her sleep? I don't remember any other, I'm not that hip on my fairy tales, but there are other ones where there are curses involved, yes? And we've all heard of that, the voodoo curse that makes the person ill. Okay, right? Can anyone think of any other examples of curse in myth or legend?
Beauty and the Beast.
Beauty and the Beast.
He was to sleep for as long as the flower would not perish, and if no woman was to come to him before that, if he was not open to love before that, his entire kingdom would turn into objects.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. Wow, that's an interesting curse. Okay, so now, does anyone believe in curses? But are people cursed neurolinguistically? Okay, let's look at some ways that people curse themselves neurolinguistically. Is it okay? Fair enough? Are we interested in this?
Yes.
Because this is part of ungluing. And I'm just listening to some of these statements intent and seeing some glue in there that's keeping some people trapped. I had a student come to me and say, and I have some examples of this in some email I have that I may or may not hand out, but I had a student call me on the phone and say, well, I still can't talk to beautiful women. He made the statement, I can't talk to beautiful women. Now, I want you guys to look at that statement. Anytime there's a statement that someone makes, or you make a statement to yourself that says you can't do something, I really want you to look at this very closely and see what it is you're really, really saying. Because when you say, I can't do something, are you talking about a temporary incident where you couldn't do something? When you say, I can't do something, what is it implying about the length of time of that lack of ability?
Never be able to.
Huh?
I'll never be able to.
Right. Because the same thing like a curse. It's not you're going to be a frog for a day. You're a frog for life. When you say, I can't talk to women, are you saying it has been my experience up to now that I've wanted to talk to women, but something has been stopping me? Is that what you're really... Or are you making a statement that it's just a permanent condition that's been glued to yourself? Think about that. Anytime you use that word can't, what's the difference between saying I can't talk to women and saying I couldn't talk to women? Look at the way language glues a condition through time. Now, I really want you to think about this. This is neurolinguistically cursing yourself whenever you use that word. Now, is it accurate to sometimes say, I don't have that ability currently? If I say to you, I don't have the ability currently to downhill ski, am I telling you the truth? What's the difference between saying, I don't have the ability currently to downhill ski and saying, I can't downhill ski? One has to do with the length of time. One is a statement of a temporary condition. The other is a statement that extends through past, present, and future. Think about this. I want you to really think about this. Are we getting this? And by the way, like I said, this is a kindler, gentler seminar. Sometimes I see these looks, and it doesn't mean the person doesn't understand. It means they're thinking about it and going, wow, that's true. So is that the response you're having? Are you thinking, going, wow, that's really true? So I want you to think of a can't statement in your life that relates to something that has a lot of emotional charge. For example, here's what I don't mean. I don't want you to say, I can't pick up an elephant. Or, I can't get a date with Oprah Winfrey. Okay? I want you to write out a can't statement that has a lot of emotional charge that relates to an area of your life that's very important. Just write one out. This is important that you do this exercise, because this is where we're going to start undigging the curses. Right? You should be doing this. We're talking about the difference between saying I can't do something and up until now I haven't been able to. This is very important. To me, this is magic. By the way, have you ever heard the word cast a spell? Okay. Well, there's a reason why spell and spell are very similar, because they both relate to language. You know where the word grammar comes from? Grammar comes from the same word for grimmery. And grimmery was the name that medieval magicians gave to their books, their journals, filled with the names to invoke demons and to do spells and ritual. Language is extremely magical because language can bound or unbound thought. So I want you to write out a can't statement, I can't, that relates to an area of your life that has a lot of emotional charge. I've been thinking about this a lot. It's very important. I've been noticing it in my work. Because Kant has to do with a curse on ability or possibility. Kant has to do with a curse on ability or possibility that extends through time. So let me know, just look up here when you're done writing out that statement. I can't. And this is for you. You don't have to share the statement. It's for you privately. It's your private business. So look up here when you've written that statement out. We can keep this short. You don't have to write a paragraph. It's short. Okay, now I want you to go back to that statement, but this time rewrite it to say, up until now, I have not been able to. Up until now, I have not been able to. Because remember, a curse is any construct that keeps someone stuck in a condition or identity that they cannot change. And it keeps them stuck through time. Precision in language is a magical tool because it has the ability to create change very rapidly and very powerfully. Okay, so now, when you go back and look, what's the difference in your emotional response when you read those two sentences? Go back now and read those two sentences. Read the first one about can't, and then read the second one where it says, up until now, I have not been able to. Now, what's the difference, first of all, in the way they extend through time? When you make the statement, I can't do something, it's not just a statement about your past. It's not just a statement about your present. It's also a projection about your future. That word can't is unbounded in time. It's vague as to time. So unconsciously, it's invested with a belief that is unbounded through time and extends through time. Does that make sense? Does it? So look at the difference. How many people, well, I'll get your question in a minute. Look at your two statements and how many people experience an actual felt emotional difference when they read the first and they read the second. How many people see no real difference? If there is no real difference, do the exercise again. There's a real difference. Because one is a statement about the way things have been up until now, and the other invests through time. This is a very, very dangerous thing to do. Because if you say, I can't, then you're extending the lack through time and saying there's no possibility. That's what it means. I want you to really think about this for a minute. Anyone want to share anything at this point? Let's open and share. So the student, yes. What?
Share.
Yeah.
The first one just feels like that rut I'm in.
Yeah, it is the rut.
And the second one, suddenly I see opportunities if I can just find a way.
Neurolinguistically, that is the rut. That is the rut. When you say I can't, it's not accurate. When you say I can't, you're not being accurate. What you're saying is, up until now, it has been my experience that I have not been able to. That's an accurate statement that no one can argue with, although probably you're deleting some successes. I had a girl say to me, she'll be here this weekend, so, and she's not here now, so it's not my friend back there. It isn't. But she said to me, none of my relationships ever work out. I went, oh, look at that neurolinguistic bullshit. And her basic belief was, unless she got married to someone and lived happily ever after with that person, the relationships she had were of no value whatsoever. None. I went, whoa. Talk about cursing yourself, man. We did some work and we uncursed that. But so anyway, the student said to me, he called me on the phone, he said, I can't talk to beautiful women. I said, really? And so immediately I started looking for counterexamples. So one way, there are a couple different ways to handle can'ts. One way to handle a can't is to convert it into up until now I have not been able to. So if you want to change uncurse yourself from a can't, rewrite it as, relanguage it as up until now I have not been able to. And if the only thing you did from this weekend was to go through all your cants and to relanguage them like that and begin to see new possibility and new opportunity, you start to step out of your own way. So I want you to think about this. What is the... so I said to my student, that's one way to deal with a cant, by the way, is to relanguage it into up until now. But then the next thing to do is to begin to come up with counterexamples. I said to him, here's what I said to him. I said, really? So if there is a beautiful woman 10 feet from you, could you go up and talk to her? He said, no, absolutely not. So what if I gave you $1,000? He said, Ross, it wouldn't matter if you gave me $10,000. I couldn't do it. I said, okay. I said, what if there was a mugger standing behind her with a huge knife about to do an O.J. Simpson on her? Could you talk to her then? I said, could you yell, look out, lady? He said, sure I could. What do you think I am? I said, that's talking to her. He went, oh. And I said, so in the circumstance of physical danger where there's a huge, sharp knife 10 feet from you, you can talk to her. But where there's no physical danger, you can't? He went, oh. I immediately started to fry his circuits. By the way, how many here believe they can't talk to a beautiful woman? Okay, I know some of you believe that. I know you do. What if there was someone coming up to her like, by the way, this is a wrong way to make a knife attack because someone could duck out of the way and just grab your arm. You never attack that way. You always want to come from under. Okay, but what if it's rubber? It's a rubber knife. Look. See? It's not a real knife. Here, let me show you. But who here, come on, you're afraid to talk to a beautiful woman. What if there was a guy coming up right behind her about to stab her in the back? Could you yell, lady, look out? Could you? Could you yell, lady, look out? He said, well, that's different. My intent is different. I went, what did you just say? He said, my intent is different. I went, aha! So it's your intent that makes the difference and not whether the woman's beautiful or not? He went, oh. And I started to completely unlanguage it because he thought that it was somehow something about the beautiful woman. I said, wouldn't it be more accurate for you to say that up until now you've greatly desired to talk to a beautiful woman, but you've found that up until now you've had great difficulty, and up until now something seems to get in the way? He said, yes. Now look at the difference in those two ways he sees the condition. One, he's starting to realize that his thinking has something to do with it. It's no longer just something that's outside of himself. Does that make sense? So now what I want you to do is go take a few minutes and write down all the things that you think you can't do. I can't do this. I can't do that. And then see if it's more accurate to say, up until now I truly wanted to, but I have not up until now been able to. Let's invest a little bit in your limits just so we can blow them apart. But as you're doing that, what I want you to get is where I started to get a wedge into his experience is I refuse to view it his way. I refuse to believe that he can't talk to beautiful women. The minute he said that to me, I relanguaged it in my own mind and said, what he really means is up until now, he's greatly desired to talk to beautiful women, but he has not yet been able to, and he's found that something has been stopping him. I relanguaged it first, and then I began to come up with counterexamples for him. This is very important because the minute you relanguage it, then you start to see possibility, or at least you introduce the possibility of possibility. And part of the problem is for this guy is when he said, I can't talk to beautiful women, it becomes part of his identity. It's now no longer a temporary condition. For him, it's his identity. It's part of who he is. He's made his disability part of his identity. And believe me, this is no different. You know, if you convince, there's some cultures where they believe the witch doctor can turn people into an animal. And if you put a curse on that person, curse them and tell them they're going to be a dog, they'll walk around, bark like a dog, run through the streets naked, act like a dog. They glue the thought form to their sense of identity. Now, by the way, if any of you are taking this process too seriously, we need to invoke Groucho or Harpo or somebody, I'm serious. Harpo's a good little thing. Maybe we'll all do a ritual to Harpo when my buddy shows up. Is this making sense? Do we need to take a break to absorb it for a bit?
No.
That's not a knife. This is a knife. And coincidentally and interestingly enough, when you have someone who's really stuck, who's cursed themselves with a construct that keeps them stuck in a certain identity and or a certain condition, the curse actually is what's familiar to them. And getting people past the trap of what's familiar is part of what's really good with magic. Because if it feels familiar, it feels like the real them. And that's the next curse I want to talk to you about. I had someone send me email. I'm gonna rifle through my email here. He sent it to the list where he said, it doesn't feel like me when I'm doing the patterns. It doesn't feel like me when I'm confident with women. Well, I am confident with women now, but it doesn't feel like the real me. I want them to love the real me. All right, so let's talk about that next. Let's talk about that next curse is it doesn't... Are we done with this? Do you want a little bit more time on this? Anybody? I'll give you a little bit more time to write some more cants down. Write your cants down and re-language them now into up until now, I have not yet been able to. There's tremendous magic in language. Language binds or unbinds thought. I actually take a great delight in challenging myself in those areas where I used to say I can't. I will throw myself into things that require all my focus and attention to even do fairly well at, let alone do well at, just to pass. That's why I took up scuba and other things. I think there's a great magic in embracing the unfamiliar with some intelligence. Obviously, you're not going to go wandering out in the outback without food or water or a guide. That's stupid. People like that don't survive to pass on their daring genes to their young. Although, you know what's interesting? I think a sense of adventure can run in families. I found something out about an ancestor of mine that I didn't know. I was very thrilled to hear this. I was taking my parents for a drive, and we're talking about my mother's mother's sisters. My mother's mother's sisters. That would be my grandmother's sisters. And I didn't know this, but I guess that would make them my great aunt. I had a great aunt who came to Russia who came from Russia by herself on a ship when she was 16 years old. She came to America on her own, a 16-year-old girl who spoke no English. She came out here first to set it up so the rest of the family could come over from Russia. Now, that's a fucking outrageous sense of adventure, a girl going to a new country. So I went, wow, it does run in the family. Thank you. That's a good belief to have, by the way. Whether it's true or not, I don't care. Because it isn't true that you can't do something. Look up here. It isn't true that you can't do something. All that's true is up until now, you haven't been able to. When you say you can't do something, that's a belief that creates a reality that you never will be able to. Because can't is time unbound. The word can't is vague as to the time it applies. Can't applies through past, present, and future. Does that make sense? So does the word can. So if you're going to use languaging like that, you may as well language it to your advantage. Is this making sense? Is it making sense to you? Aren't I smartly? Someone told me, I was talking to a female friend of mine the other night on the phone. She said, you're getting a lot smarter. I said, no, you're just listening better. That's another one who will be here this weekend. She was telling me about someone. She said, you were right all along about so-and-so. I said, yeah, I know. What else am I right about? Or does it hang to the left? Is this making sense so far? Okay, so another student said to me, he says, let me see. I've got to find this. This got me so pissed off. I get really cranky when I hear this. Oh, here. This student says, listen to this. He says, he's saying that he's doing a lot better with women. Women are talking to him now, and they seem attracted to him. But the problem is when I do the Unstoppable Confidence, and I'm being cocky and all, I don't feel it is myself anymore. Okay? He says, I don't feel it is myself anymore. When I am myself, I am more low profile, but then I don't attract chicks. Okay. I want to talk to you about the curse of the familiar and the curse of it's not really me. Look up here just for a second. Have you ever wanted to try out a new way of responding or a new way of acting in the world, but you said to yourself, it just doesn't feel like the real me, or this doesn't feel like me? Okay? That is remember how we define curse? This was just before a few minutes before you came in. A curse is any construct that what? How do we define curse? Someone read it back to me. A curse is any construct that keeps people trapped in a certain condition and or identity. So when you say, it doesn't feel like me, what are you trapping yourself into? You're trapping yourself into what you've you've been doing up until now. You're guaranteeing that it will extend through. So add to your definition to curse that extends through time. Although it's implied in there. That keeps people trapped in a condition and identity that extends indefinitely through time.
That's a cultural frame.
What's a cultural frame? I want to hear these comments. What do you mean? He said it's a cultural frame. I don't want to go grab the microphone. Hang on a minute, I'm going to.
That's just me. That's just the way I am. That's a cultural frame.
Say it again.
That's just me. That's the way I am. That's a cultural frame.
We're taught to say that in our culture. It's just me. It's just the way I am. Well, what's the difference between you saying about a limitation, it's just the way I am, and a witch saying, from now on, you are a frog? It's a statement about your future that's unchanging. It's glued a condition that could be temporary to your identity in your life. You've just succeeded in gluing a limit to yourself.
Is this what you meant on the basic page, pathological trance?
It's a form of pathological trance, yeah. But you don't need hypnosis for pathological trance. All you need to do is language yourself into something. Do we get this? So this guy says, when I am myself, I am more low profile, which doesn't... Let me go back to my answers. He says, the problem is when I act all cocky, I don't feel as myself anymore. I said, it is yourself, it's just new. It is yourself, it's just new. He says, when I'm myself, I'm more low profile, but that doesn't attract chicks. So listen to this. How many people here have an I statement about themselves? It's just not myself to be successful. It's just not myself to be smart. It's just not myself to be beautiful. Or the other way around. I am a loser in this area. Or I am someone who never gets what they want in life. Or I am someone who always fucks it up. Or I am someone who is always sad. Or I am someone who is always... How many people have statements like that? Take a minute to write them out. Take 5 minutes.
What about noticing yourself doing that?
What about your...
I mean, I don't believe that I'm in those things. But
Good.
I do notice the self-sabotage.
Well, then write it down. Okay, so listen to this. Okay, how many... Now, so you've written some statements about who you are, I am, or et cetera, et cetera. How many here in the last 5 days have taken a shit? Come on. How many here in the last 5 days? Tammy, you have not taken a shit? Yeah. Okay. Does that make you a shitter? Are you a shitter? So right now, sitting here, you're a shitter. Okay. So watch these identity statements. This concept of self is what I call a neuro-linguistic boogeyman. I want you to write down the word self, because we're going to tackle this notion in magic. The notion of a self is a very popular one, but it's what I call a neurolinguistic boogeyman. I say to people, there's no such thing as hobbits, there's no such thing as trolls, unless you want to invent them magically. And there's no such thing as a self. Because when you say, it's not myself, how many people have a belief or have had a belief like this? It's not myself to be confident around beautiful women. Come on. Huh?
I don't language it that way.
I know. Well, how do you language it?
I'm not successful with women.
Okay. I am not a person who's successful with women. Right? You ever put that down. So it means it wouldn't be yourself if suddenly you were successful with women. Who would you be?
Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. But so suddenly if you were successful with women, who would you be?
Right. I'm successful with women.
But would it be yourself to be successful with women? Okay. All right. So this concept of self, yes, go ahead.
I look at it from a different angle. Other than I'm not successful with them, it's like they wouldn't be interested in me.
Oh, they wouldn't be interested in you. So you're making a statement about their selves.
Well, it's like they wouldn't like me because I'm not.
Wait a minute. So you're making a statement about their selves.
Well, if I say an attractive woman and I say, well, I like her, but she wouldn't be interested in me.
Okay, so you're making a statement about who she is. Whoa. You just turned her into a frog. You just turned her into something. Oh, you follow me? I want you to follow this. If you say, she would not like me, you just neurolinguistically in your mind turned her into someone who's incapable of having a certain response. True? Just like if you put a curse on someone and said, they are not able to speak, poof, and then the person can't speak. You've cursed that person in your mind. In your mind, you've turned them into a certain person who's incapable of a certain response. So guess what? Are you going to be able to get that response from them? Huh?
Yeah, because, well, I mean, in other words, the response has been rejected.
Yes, but were you able to get any other response other than one you've glued to them? Why? Not through any kind of mystical thing, but because you won't have the behaviors that will change them. You won't even look for them. You'll delete them. Does that make sense? Does that make sense?
No, it doesn't make sense.
But you understand is what I mean.
I understand.
Okay. Okay. Yes, what's your question?
What you were saying to him, could you think of that as an illusion that he's creating?
Yes, it is an illusion he's creating, but he's invested it with being real. If he says that person could never like me, he's assigned an identity to that person that extends through time, right? You don't just say, she wouldn't like me in this moment or in this particular approach. You're going, she'll never like me. So you're assigning, what's our definition of a curse? A construct that glues an identity, or condition or identity to someone through time, right? So you've just cursed them to you. And them, it has no effect to them. Say again, Tammy, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I was just asking if illusion was a word that you could use for that. And
Yeah.
saying that he set up an illusion.
Sure. Okay, are we following? Here's what else this guy says. He really pissed me off. He says, I don't want to act like... Listen to what he says. Listen to his languaging. He says, I don't want to. In other words, I do the activity of not wanting to. I don't want to act like a someone who I am not. And more so, I want women to be attracted to me, not just someone I am acting to be. Okay, let's take a minute. Just to show you an example of neurolinguistic cursing, let's take a minute to deconstruct what this guy is doing, shall we? Because this is an example of how people curse themselves. This is extremely important to get to. So, here's what he says. In fact, let's write down his stupidity, okay? He says, I don't want to act like a someone who I am not. Let's write that sentence down. I don't want to act like a someone who I am not. I'm sure each one of you has an area of your life where you think this way, by the way. Yes? No? I don't want to act like a someone who I am not. Has everyone got that written down? Now let's look at this statement and see where the cursing is in this statement, shall we? What does this mean? I don't want to act like someone who I am not. What does that really translate to? First of all, how does he know when he's acting like someone he is and someone he isn't? What is it that lets him know that an act he's doing is him and an act he's doing isn't him? By what he's done before. Look at that statement. Look at that statement. His statement is, I don't want to act like someone who I am not. Well, how would he know? How would he know when he does an action whether it's someone he is or someone he's not? The only way he can do it is by looking into the what? Does everyone get that?
So he has no ability to change.
Exactly. Look at what that statement implies about his focus. When he says, I don't want to act like someone who I am not. Well, how's he supposed to tell whether the action he's doing is him or not him? Where does he look to find out? He looks into his past. And if it's true, we go where we focus. What does that imply? He's always going to keep. Where is he always going to keep going? Where he's already been. So where's his even a chance for him to change? Zero. Zip. And you know what else he's doing? How else does he know if it's him or not, besides looking into the past, about whether or not it feels familiar? When you say, oh, that would really be me, how do you know? You look at your past experience, and if it feels familiar, you know it's you. If it feels unfamiliar, you know it's not. So he only looks at the past, and he only does what feels familiar, and then he wonders why he can't change. Duh. How is that any different, structurally or the end result, than a witch saying, poof, you're a frog, and you hop around and you eat worms and try to crap tadpoles or whatever? Okay? How is it any different? He did it to himself. But is this a common way of thinking in our culture? It doesn't feel like me. It's not the real me. It's totally reinforced. How to get reinforced? The 60s and 70s encounter group mentality. You've got to be the real you. It's not the real authentic self. Well, these are people who are trying to be helpful, but they're actually gluing the problem into people. So can curses be transmitted culturally? Let's have a big fucking nod. Yes, curses can and are transmitted culturally. And you thought your mind was safe. But I want you to really think about this. I don't want to act like someone who I am not. Well, how does he know? The only way he can tell who he is by looking into and by checking whether or not the proposed new behavior feels familiar. Think about how the familiar can be a curse. Now, I want to step back here and be even more precise about this. There is a mechanism in the human mind looking for what's familiar. It's part of the overall process we call generalization. In NLP, we say people generalize, they delete, and they distort. That's how the human brain and human mind work. So let's take a little side map here, a little side road into NLP for a second. What are you feeling here? You look puzzled.
My wheels are spinning. I'm just thinking.
Okay, good. Okay, let's take a little side map, because when we talk about what feels familiar, that's part of, in NLP we say people generalize, they distort, and they delete. Now, the concept of familiarity is not all bad. The concept, familiarity is part of or a byproduct of the process of generalizing. And generalizing, if you did not generalize, you couldn't survive. If you had to stop and rethink what this is every time you looked at it, you'd go nuts. So part of learning to put things into categories, which is what you were driving at, Ed, is the notion that you have to generalize. Is this a chair? Does it fit into the category of chair? Yes? So you know what you can do with it. You can sit down on it, right? If you had to, every time you looked at a chair, go, what is that? What can I do with it? You go nuts. You couldn't function. So generalizing and looking for what's familiar can be, and in fact is, a necessary required process. Does that make sense? If every time you looked at a door, you had to figure out anew what it was, you'd have the mind of a baby. Babies are incapable of generalizing because everything is new to them. Do you understand? So they have part of maturing their mind is learning to do this. So the mind generalizes. Does that make sense? The mind also deletes. If you were paying attention to every input coming in unconsciously, if you suddenly paid attention to it consciously, you'd go nuts, correct? You cannot pay attention to everything in your experience. Part of the function of the mind is to delete certain things. Is that true? Do we follow? Who doesn't follow this? Are you aware of your phone number right now? Are you aware of your phone number 24 hours a day? Are you always thinking about it? If you did, you'd be compulsive. You'd be nuts. A lot of psychological disorders are just these mechanisms not working right. Does that make sense? Okay. But also, language can delete possibility. When you say, I can't do something, you're deleting the possibility of your future being different. And you are generalizing through time. And you're distorting your experience because I'm sure even people who believe they're totally unattractive to the opposite sex, I can guarantee you at least once there's been someone freakish enough in their life to be attracted to them. Okay? So you're also distorting. So it's not all a bad thing to go with familiarity when it comes to objects in the world. Does that make sense? But using familiarity to judge what can be possible is not a good idea. Not a good idea at all. Does that make sense? Using what feels familiar to judge what can be possible is not a sensible way to do things. Because if you do things that way, well, you'd have no creativity. You'd have no innovation, would you? Sure doesn't feel familiar for me for people to be able to have powered flights. So therefore, looking into the past, I don't see it anywhere. So therefore, it can't be. Well, I've never had a really good, loving relationship with a person looking into my past. So therefore, it can't be. Well, how's that any different from some asshole 5 years before the Wright brothers going, well, you know, as far as powered flight, looking into the past, I don't see it anywhere. Therefore, it can't be. Well, you know, having a good, loving relationship with someone or being really attracted to the opposite sex, well, looking into my past, I don't see it anywhere. Therefore, it can't be. It's the same thing. Now, I know it can feel real, and part of what keeps you stuck there, or what has kept you stuck there, is the feeling that it's real. So we're going to show you some ways to get rid of that feeling as part of ungluing it. But is this making sense? Is this fascinating or what? Yeah, language is really interesting and dangerous thing. So, who was it who pointed out that culturally this thing, it's not the real me, is glued to us? Yes, it is. There's a lot of weird things that are glued to us in our culture. Another real weird, crazy thing that's glued to people is money. Why do you think people have so many ruins on the subject of money? Because on the one hand, we're conditioned to chase after it. On the other hand, we're taught that as soon as we get it, we're wrong. Sounds like sex, come to think of it. We're taught to chase after it, but we're also taught as soon as we get it, we're wrong. And people wonder why the two biggest ruins are on... People have... what's the most common strong buttons that people have in life? Money and... Well, is it just a coincidence that we're taught to go after it, but as soon as we get it, we're taught it's wrong to have it? Duh. Get away from me a little closer. I can't stand you because I love you so much. I'm only hurting you because I love you. You don't need a magic wand and a bat's head to curse yourself or other people. You just need to use language in a stupid way. Not anymore, right? I want you to think of something. I want you guys to stop and think of a time when you really did something so fucking stupid you're so embarrassed to this moment to think about it. Because it was so fucking stupid. I mean, it was just embarrassing. You ever feel really embarrassed? Huh? Have you ever felt really, really embarrassed? I want you to look at me when you think about that feeling, that incident where you felt totally embarrassed. Oh, okay. You got it? No. I want you to think about using your language to limit yourself. Okay? Stupid. By the way, if you can learn to attach embarrassment to all the limits that used to be familiar, embarrassment's a really powerful thing because it's part of feeling unfamiliar with attaching feelings of ridiculousness to it. I got that from watching Bandler, but it's true. He said that many years ago. What if you were learn to just be embarrassed about the old limited ways you did things and just laugh at them like, well, that's fucking stupid. No one could ever love me. Well, I could never have a good relationship. My relationships always fail. I'm just ugly. Well, what I said to this guy is, wow, talk about a change-proof curse. If I went to a witch doctor, I would want him to put a hex like this on my worst enemy. All right? We don't want to do those things, do we? Right? Are we tired of that? Okay. I really mean this. I'm not just trying to be metaphorical about it, although I do use metaphor. I really, truly, honestly believe that language acts in a magical way. Yes? All right, good. Absolutely, positively. No, I've just done a magical act. My magical act is I've made water glasses disappear, so I don't know where they are. So I'm going to magically make them reappear. Water glasses, they're over there. Any questions so far? Comments? Come on. There's got to be something going on in your minds. Not you, because you're going to give me a speech. Actually, I think you have really good input, but you need to cut down the words. In fact, hang on a second. I'm going to present an idea to you. I want to get to you. The idea I'll present to you is if you want to be powerful and impactful in your communication, which I know you do, learn to put it through less words. Every word you use dilutes the power of the overall message. The fewer the words you can use to convey what you want to say, the more each word has more power. Think of it like this. Let's use a metaphor for making money. Which is easier, to make $10 off 100,000 people? No, strike it. If you want to make $1 million, is it easier to make $100,000 off of 10 people or $10 off of 100,000 people? Which actually requires less effort and has more impact? Yeah, it requires less effort to make $100,000 with 10 people if you want to make $1 million. That's where it's easier. You understand? Each piece of effort gives you more impact. So listen. So learn to think of the message you're going to give and offer it in as few words as possible, because then you have more impact. Yes, what was your comment? I'm sorry.
What you're saying is we're really talking about just getting rid of your limiting beliefs, right?
Yeah, and we're talking about looking at the processes that impose limitation, because it's the same processes that impose limitation that can create possibility. Okay? Well, yeah, so people can hear your silken voice.
My question is,
Yeah.
when you talked about less boundaries, uncertainty, how that presents us with more opportunities and what.
Right. True. You agree with that?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. That's great and that's wonderful, but that also presents fear. So what do you do with the fear?
Stop. Okay. Fear.
Of the unknown.
Hold it. Fear is a neurolinguistic label. Let's talk about this just for a second. I understand there's a feeling state. Think of the feeling state you get when you're about to step into the unfamiliar. Okay. And without labeling it with a label, just see how it feels in your body. Now, is that fear or is it excitement? Physiologically, it's the same thing, but slapping on the label fear will determine where you go with it. Okay. So your statement was there is this thing, fear. I'm saying there is a reaction in your body, yes, but maybe fear, what you call fear, is not a sign that something bad is about to happen. Maybe it's just a signal to pay attention because you're stepping into something new. So when you label it fear, you are neurolinguistically gluing a certain interpretation on that you then lose choice over. What if you were to simply label it feeling excited or unfamiliar? Think about the difference in your experience when you take that feeling, which I acknowledge is real, that's a real signal. See how your experience shifts when you label it fear, then wipe that label away, and now label it excited alertness, a sense of excitement that something different is about to happen. Do you like going to new places that you've never been to before? Do you like to travel? Well, but wait a minute. Keep the microphone. But when you travel to someplace new, it's unfamiliar, right? You're seeing sights you've never seen before, right? How does that feel? Don't answer me, but get the feeling in your body.
Feels good.
Okay. But it's very close. If you stop to examine it, it's a very close feeling. The only difference is, where does the energy go? I want you to think about this.
I am.
And experience it. Where does the energy go when you use the label fear, and what direction is the energy pointed? When you use the label excitement, where does the energy go? Exactly. So when you choose the label fear, you're choosing energetic compression. Okay? When you choose the label, hey, wait a minute, this is exciting and I'm going to be alert and aware. If you just assigned it the label, ooh, different. If you just assign it the label different, or make up a word and push the energy out, notice how your experience changes. See, because listen, when you used to, listen to my language, when you used to assign the label fear to something that's merely unfamiliar or different, you then identified yourself as being a fearful person. But now when you wipe that all out and take that starting feeling and go, wait a minute, this is just something that's new. This is just different. And push the energy outward, you can begin to see yourself as an adventurous person. Do you understand the difference? Now, I want to see you do it energetically. Yeah, I'm going to challenge you, man. So, yeah. So what I want to see you do is really think about something that's completely unfamiliar and get that fear response. And notice how it compresses. So here's what I want you, come here, come up to the front of the room. If you're going to be here, then I'm going to mess with you. I know. We don't need this. So turn around. Yeah, face everybody. So that's right. So what I want you to do is get that feeling of being in something that's unfamiliar, that doesn't feel like you. And get that fear sense. What I want you to do is take the energy, as you feel it compressing in, push it out like this. Literally, take your hands and push it back out like that. Yeah. But when you choose to make the change, push the energy back out. Uncompress yourself. And as you push it out, make a sound to yourself that represents your freeing yourself and uncompressing. And one thing that will help you to do it is, as you're feeling compressed, if you just bend forward a little bit and round your shoulders, so when you uncompress, you straighten up. Okay? So you've been compressed enough. Uncompress. Well, no, you're good at compressing. I want you to uncompress. You're not compressed enough?
No, I'm compressing more.
Well, no, you can compress real well. Yeah, uncompress. Uncompress energetically as well as linguistically. Okay, good. Well, you don't have to lunge forward, but you can't. Okay, good. And see, she didn't compress. She compressed a little bit when I criticized her, but she pushed it away. Good. I'm always testing. Well, wait, uncompress a little bit. So do it again. I want this to be part of a habit. See, the thing about you is you've been exposed to a lot of tools for change, but you haven't necessarily used them because you've been invested in where you were. So if you want to de-invest in that, yeah, instead of having a bear market, let's have a bull market. I'm good with bull, aren't I? Okay, so uncompress again. So think of something that's completely unfamiliar.
Something different than what I had before?
Yeah. It would be completely unfamiliar. Okay. That would make you feel compressed. Get that sense of compression, and then immediately just push it out. Don't spend any time investing in compression. And make a sound. Yeah, good. Okay? I want you to practice that. And see, because look at the label fear. I want you to look, all of you, where you have this notion of fear in your life. And where you have fear, I want you to replace it with, different. Or make up a word. Google is a made-up word. Why did I make up the word Google? Because you can have all sorts of new associations to it. So instead of fear, how about the feeling you get, hey, this is just something new. This is a new adventure. Let's see what happens. It feels unfamiliar. Cool. It means I'm going to learn something new that I've never learned before. You get it? Can I go now? Yes. No, you're going to get up and teach the class. So let's see. Oh, she's defying me. Good, I like it. So I notice in certain situations where I'm caught off guard, my energy tends to compress. So push it back out again. You know that feeling of like being smaller? You know what I'm talking about? It's like you're compressed. Okay? So think of that situation and kind of compress yourself and then push your energy back out and make it sound like, ha! Whoa! Do it. Push your energy out again. So think of something that compresses you, your boss, somebody, anything. Or some problem that was overwhelming in your life. So try it this time. But this time, when you're pushing the energy out, imagine a flaming bird. You know the phoenix bird that represents resurrection? Imagine a flaming eagle. Imagine a flaming eagle. As you push the energy out, imagine a flaming eagle descending through the top of your head, filling your body with its fire. Okay, so compress yourself, and then push out, make the sound, and imagine that eagle. Keep your hands out as the energy fills you. And now pull them to your side. Now how do you feel? Does that feel different? Yeah? So congratulations now. Notice how you're experiencing. Now look at this. Look at posture. Do this when you're compressed. Kind of bend your knees. So when you're feeling compressed, kind of bend your knees. And then as you push out, straighten up as you make the sound. And now see that flaming eagle descending through the top of your head, filling your body. Keep your hands outstretched. Physiology matters. Now think about that situation that used to compress you. I'm serious. How does it make you feel now? I don't see any major difference with what's going on with you, Tams. Are you getting this?
Why are you picking on me?
Because I'm watching your physiology to show me what's going on in your mind, and I know you. Did you notice how many people noticed a difference in the feeling state when they bent their knees and then straightened up? Anybody notice a difference? Did it feel stronger? How many people noticed by actually making the physical movement of pushing out, your energy popped back out again? How many noticed that making the sound helped? Okay. How many people notice that flaming eagle descending into your body added energy in? Anybody? Anybody not notice it? Some people will not notice it at first. It may be new to you. What do we change fear into?
Different.
Different. It's just different. I would encourage you all to come up with a new word. Make a word up. All the places where you've been using fear, make up a word that represents a state of excitement and anticipation about experiencing something different, whatever that word would be. Now, again, I'm not talking about being reckless. I'm not a reckless person, for the most part. I'm only reckless when myself and the other delectable person are naked and we're enjoying each other. Then I can get reckless. But otherwise, I'm pretty unreckless. I'm pretty calculating. If you glue old labels into new possibilities, then you take all the old associations and contaminate the new possibilities. So I want you to make up new words. And part of who's a speed seduction student here? When I use that word Google, it totally screws up all your associations, unless you're a mathematician, right? That's why I did it. Create a new word where you can install all the possibilities you want inside of that word. So remind me, we're going to create a new word. If you glue old labels onto new possibilities, then you glue all the old associations into the new possibilities. You bring all the old associations into the new possibilities. So if you want to create a state where you're totally comfortable with the unfamiliar, get rid of the word fear and create a new word. A new word that has elements of anticipation and excitement about something that's different. So let's say instead of fear, we want to replace it with excitement, anticipation, adventure, and what else? Excitement, adventure, anticipation,
fun,
difference. These are pretty good, yeah? We want to create a new word. Now, there's no hard and fast rule for doing this. But what you want to do is take pieces of each. So let's say we took the EX from excitement, the ANT from anticipation, the AD from adventure, the FU from fun. You ever notice that? The first part of fun is FU. That's a good one. Yates, are you aware of that? That the start of fun is FU. Excuse me, has anyone ever told you that the start of fun is FU? What do you think of that? What do you think of that as a pickup line, Tammy?
I'd actually probably like it.
You would probably like it? Guys, that's your assignment tonight. Go up to a lady in some place. I'll give you places to go and go, excuse me, but have you ever stopped to think that the start of fun is FU? Or that all fun starts with FU? We're having fun. I'm having fun right now. Okay, excitement, anticipation, adventure, fun, difference. So what if we made up a word that consists of the start of the 5 words? So that would be EX, ANT, AD, FU, DIF. That's a long word, okay? So since we have so many letters here, why don't we just eliminate the ones that repeat? Would that be fair? Does that make sense? Are we following so far how I'm doing this? So I wrote out the words, and I took the first few letters at the start of each word. Does that make sense so far? We've seen this before. What is this called? An anagram? Or when you take the first letters, like, no, it's not an anagram. An acronym. It's an acronym. When you take a series of words and you take the first letter of each word to spell out a new word, it's called an acronym. I believe that, for example, the Christians use the Greek word for fish. It's, what is it? ICHTHOS or something, because it also stands for Jesus Christ, Son of God, Savior. So they use the word ichthys and the symbol of the fish. So the Romans would think, oh, they're just fishermen. But it was a way to tell other Christians, here's the secret meaning of this new sect. You get it? But we don't like that sect, so. The symbol of Xantar. Okay, we've crossed it out with the symbol of Xantar. Okay, exantaf fudif. So let's eliminate the letters that reappear. We got too many D's, so let's eliminate the D. How about exantad? How about exantad foo? Exantid foo. Or you could scramble some of the letters. Here's what I want you to do. Take these letters, exantid foo, and make up a word that represents that state of excited, anticipated, adventure, fun, difference. How could you do that? You could scramble them. You could turn them around. You could, how about Tanex? Tanex Fuda. Or Tanex Fud. Let's eliminate the A. Tanex Fud. Eliminate letters that repeat to shorten things if you want to. Tanex Fud. Make one up that resonates for you. Does that make sense? But it contains the elements of all the other words. How about ducks? I like this one, duxifnat. I like duxifnat. Is there a right answer here? How about Tex? Texud. Texid fan. Make one up. All right. Are you starting to see some of the difference that this can make? Let's talk about this. Let's. I want to get you guys really involved in this because it means less work for me, and also I get some feedback as to how I'm doing. So, How many people have looked at some areas in their life where they were making I can't statements or looked at some things that felt really unfamiliar and now are beginning to feel different about it? Anybody? Somebody share. Yes, you.
Oh, this idea of putting a curse on someone else.
Huh?
When I would look at a woman and say she wouldn't be interested in me.
Yeah.
And I thought about that later, and it's just as absurd as if Merlin the magician would turn himself into a frog.
Right. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense.
Right. So, or the Wicked Witch, putting herself to sleep instead of the sleeping.
Yeah. In fact, if you think of some area of your life right now, everyone stand up. Stand up. Think of some area of your life where you just, up until thought you can't do it, and do this. Go, But it's the real me. But it's the way I've always done things. Embarrassment can be useful. Embarrassment can be useful when limiting your limitations. My favorite one is, did you know the start of all fun is F you? What is that supposed to mean? What? Well, then you know you've come to the wrong place. Just think, if I had a real job, I could come up with any of this. I'd be busy doing other things. What does that mean anyway, a real job? What does that mean? That's an interesting construct. Why don't you go get a real job? Well, what the fuck? Wait a minute. Something you hate. Translation, why don't you do something you hate for 8 hours a day, just the way I do? Think about that. The things that people tell you, why don't you do a real job? I have a friend who really needs to be here today, but she'll be here later. And her mother is like one of the champion psychotic witches I've ever heard of. Her mother says, I just want to let you know that anything I've ever done to you to hurt you was unintentional. But everything you've done to hurt me, you meant to do. And you'll live with that the rest of your life. And I said to her, you know what? Next time your mother says something like that, just let her finish, laugh, and go, you know, Mom, I really don't feel like eating the poison apple today. And hang up the phone. Because that's what she's doing. She's handing you a poison apple. And she went, you're right. Oh, my God. She said, you're absolutely right. You are getting smarter. I said, no, you're just listening. But it's true. Think of all like the poison apples these wicked witches in our lives hand to us. You know, we don't have to eat it anymore if we don't want to. Yeah, that's a good one. Why don't you go get a real job? You know, or why don't you act like anytime someone puts the word real in front of something, they're attempting to neurolinguistically bind you because they're leaving out real is defined by me. Why don't you get a job that's real as defined by me? Why don't you get yourself a real man? When are you going to start acting like a real lady? Translation, when are you going to do things according to the way I say you should? But if they blatantly said that, if they blatantly said, why don't you do it exactly the way I tell you to, that would be too blatant. So they've got to hide it. See? I'm watching these control mechanisms in my own family. My niece is currently dating someone who her parents don't approve of because he's not Jewish and he's from the wrong country. They're like, why don't you get yourself a real boyfriend? And I said, hey, she's fucking him. He's her real boyfriend. She's sucking his dick every night. That's her real boyfriend. But now it's okay for me to say anything like that to my sister because Tom Cruise played me in a movie. And she cannot believe that. Tom Cruise, she said every time, I can't believe Tom Cruise played my brother in a movie. She keeps saying that over and over. I said, well, I can't believe it either because he's way too short to play me. You know? He's 5'5", is he? Right? 5'6"? He's a real short guy, and I'm 6'2", in my bare feet, yeah.
Does that conflict with her understanding what you do doesn't work very much?
No, she does believe what I do. Yeah, no, she likes what I do. That's okay. That's all okay. So, is this interesting stuff? Are you enjoying this? Questions so far? You know, Can you tell I'm a lot less wound up when I do these? I don't have the same sense of urgency. When I do the speed seduction things, the way I look at it is those guys are on a sinking boat, and I need to get the water out of the boat, get that fucker patched up, or they're going to drown. I don't have any time. I got to get it all done because no one else. Yeah.
And just curiosity, whether anybody that wrote that Magnolia was covertly or overtly.
My stuff is spread through Hollywood like a virus. I see my stuff a lot, and I'm not just imagining it. I've seen it on TV shows and little things in movies where they're definitely using my languaging. They never consulted with me directly or asked me about it. I think they get the home study courses. We have a lot of people on our mailing lists, you know. I'm sure we have people from government agencies. In fact, I'm sure we have people from government agencies, you know. So I offered to pull someone's FBI file if they wanted to see it, you know, just as a favor. And I went, well, I don't know if I want to know what's in there. So, not that I could do any such thing. I couldn't. So anyway, I'm excited about this. To me, this is an incredible exploration of I think people are capable of so much when they learn to unglue themselves. So let's get back to this. So unspelling, uncursing, undoing, ungluing. And I thought, what is it that really binds people? In addition to language, which we just looked at. Okay? So bear with me. This is coming right out of my notes. It's unrehearsed in the moment. But we're going to kind of do this process of creating together. I think one of the reasons why I'm here doing this and able to do it is my parents uncursed me. My parents gave me a very powerful permission. They told me, they gave me complete freedom to think and follow a train of thought for as far as it would go. Fearlessly follow any train of thought, no matter who it offended, including them. It was okay to offend my parents with my thinking, as long as I was able to show that I had thought it through and wasn't doing it just to be a little obnoxious, annoying little bastard. So when I wanted to be an obnoxious, annoying little bastard, I made sure I had a chain of logic I could point to. And then, damn it, they'd like to strangle me, but there's nothing they could do. My parents gave me the dangerous idea that I could learn to think through anything. They gave me permission to voice and think about anything. And they told me I was smart enough to figure anything out. Okay? That's a really freeing set of permissions to give a kid. You know? So I always give them credit for that. They're too old to come to my seminars anymore, but that's all right. Okay. So I was kind of doing this little diagram here, where if this represents the past, and I thought about luck and the shape of events. Have you ever felt unlucky? I'm serious about this. Have you ever felt things just have you ever gone through a period where everything goes wrong? And have you ever really, really, really wanted something in your life, and no matter what you did, you just could not manifest it, and you felt unlucky, or you felt cursed? And you thought, wait a minute, something's not right. There's just something wrong. It shouldn't be this difficult for me to have what I want. Have you ever felt that way? Have you ever felt that way? I've felt that way, guys. With everything I know, with all the tools at my disposal, I have felt that way. This is why I continually tell you, seek out teachers who don't portray themselves as gods. Seek out teachers who will tell you, hey, I got the same struggles as you do. I just have some tools, and I'm a little bit further down the road. Watch out for anyone who has to portray themselves other than jokingly as a guru. I use the word guru as a joke, but I don't take it seriously. Okay? I mean, the guru of Gunch, that kind of tells you I don't take it seriously. Okay. I was thinking about luck and the shape of events. That this is the past, okay? I was thinking about what is it? What is it that creates luck in the shape of events? Is it just what happened in the past? So if this is the past, here's the present, and then here comes that nasty little bugger, the future. I thought to myself, where does luck and where does the shape of events and what is the where do we really find all these things? Do we really find them in the past? Is it what happened in the past that creates luck and the shape of events in the future? If you're feeling stuck today, is it because of all these sticking experiences in the past? If that were true, then that's it. That's your fate, and nothing can ever change. But we do know that luck changes. Events do change. Things do happen. People who have lost for years suddenly win. Right? People who have been rejected by Hollywood for 10 years, they'll get the break. Of course, they've worked towards it, but that's another issue. And how can we take all these things that have happened and unbind them? How can we unbind the energies, complexes, patterns of thought? Because here's the thing, and what I came up with the word templates. What came to me is this, is it's not all the things that happened in your past that necessarily keep you stuck. That's not what keeps you stuck, that things happened in your past. It's the energies, the complexes, the patterns of thought, and the templates that go along with them that keep you blocked and keep you stuck. Now, I'm gonna talk to you about this. So if you're feeling a little puzzled and thinking, what do you mean, Ross? I'm going to show you and explain it to you. Fair enough? How many people here came out of the womb walking? First of all, how many people here in the room walk? How many people came out of the womb walking? So for how many people was it that the first 9 months, a year of your life, you did not walk? You didn't have the capability. You crawled. Okay. At a year old, if you look back into your past, as far as your ability to walk, what would you see there? Complete disability, complete inability to do it. Okay? And yet that doesn't bind you. You learn to walk. Why? Because that age, you're not capable of binding yourself. There's no complex or thought form or patterns or templates or energies of frustration, really, that stay attached. Does that make sense? You don't bind yourself. You stay unbound. Even though you have a past loaded with not being able to do something, you don't bind yourself, so you're able to do it. Does that make sense? Because even though physiologically we are capable of walking, it's still a skill we all have to learn, correct?
We see others doing it.
And we see others doing it. That's true, too. Others give us encouragement. So I began to think, okay, I know that there's something else going on here. It's just not a matter of the skills. There's something else going on here. So how do we begin to unbind from the energies, complexes, patterns of thought, templates? And then I also wrote down decisions, emotions, mission. This seems jumbled because it's coming right from my notes, but I'm going to unjumble it for you. Patterns of mentation. Mentation just means thought. Response. Action. Desire. So we got all this stuff in there. It's not just the events that happened. It is not, what I want to point out to you is it's not the events that happened. The things that keep you stuck are the decisions, the emotions, your overall sense of life mission, the patterns of mentation, response, action, desire, the energies, the complexes, the patterns of thought, the templates. Does everyone know what I mean by a template? A template is like if you want to, an example of a template would be, how do How do they print currency? They use a plate. They engrave the plate, and then they can stamp the plate on paper and make paper money, which isn't real money, but we'll get to that later. Okay, you get it? So a template is an overall set of things that you can just reproduce something over and over and over again. Does this make sense? Okay. And it's when you go and you start unbinding this that all of this starts to shift and change. Because according to what is put in here, it's not the events that happen. It's what you put in here that will continue to draw to you similar things. Luck is just about similarity. Luck is about familiarity of events based on all of this. Luck is a form of universal familiarity. Because I think the universe is drawn towards what's familiar too, so it gives you emotionally what's familiar to you. That's why it's not about if I do X, I'll get Y. It's if I do X with the right energies, complexes, patterns of thought, I'll get Y, because that's what will feel familiar to the universe to give you. It's a weird kind of way of putting it, but we'll put it another way. I know I'm not quite formulating this clearly yet, but I will. Just follow along. Let me give you an example. Let's say something happens to you when you're 3 years old and you conclude, women are bad, they always bring me pain. Okay? That's the decision you've made. All right? So it's not the event, it's a decision. Once you make that decision, all sorts of energies are going to be bound to you and all sorts of patterns of thought. Once you make that decision, that takes everything here in the future and is going to glue a certain kind of energy to you and a certain way of responding to the world. Does that make sense? Or I am a person who's always going to have pain with women, or whatever. And you glue that to you. If you've glued that decision to you, then I can give you all the tools in the world to be successful with women, but that's going to be controlling. Not the tools, but this. Does that make sense? How many people here honestly have felt very stuck, even with all the tools of speed seduction? It still ain't working. Okay? Because you got this stuff in here. You've bound yourself.
Those are all examples of what I call meaning.
Right. You've glued meaning. Humans are meaning-making creatures. Humans crave meaning the way we crave food or sex. Even the stupidest human wants to make some sense out of what they're doing. This is why part of being powerfully persuasive is helping people find the meaning in what they're doing with you. Humans crave meaning. So let's say you make a decision, life is painful. Then what are you going to attract to yourself as you move through the world with even the best tools? That's right. I'm being serious about this. Then anything you see that is not painful, is your unconscious smart enough to recognize that it won't cause you pain? Yeah. They'll go, oh, that's not going to cause me pain. It's not real for me. Push it away. Does that make sense? And then you go, well, I'm always the person who fucks things up with women. It never works out. That must just be my destiny. It's because at some point you decided that, hey, oh well, women are about pain, or I'm always going to have pain with it. So your unconscious looks for things that are going to confirm that view. And it will push away things that are not. That's why when women say to me, I'm just not attracted to you, I'm going, that's because I ain't going to hurt you in all the ways you're used to. Okay, if that's what you want, go find it elsewhere.
What's holding, you're saying that those things, the decision and the emotion, those are binding me. They're complex.
Yeah.
Stuff is what, obviously people have the ability to change decisions too, so what's holding the decision?
Well, you say again, people have the ability to change decisions. Yeah. It's one thing to rethink a decision. It's another thing to organically really change it.
Right. So what's even holding that decision constantly?
The emotion. Emotion glues things to people. and repeating it. See, it's not that these events make you continue to have these results. It's what you've glued to the event. Does that make sense? Because if you've glued all this stuff, you're going to push away what would unprove it. And you're going to draw to you what will. And also, the thing is, if it's deeply held, whatever is held at a deep level of consciousness is going to tend to be what the universe tends to shove your way. Now, I want you to understand something. There's no difference, really, between a deeply held belief at a deeply unconscious state and a desire that you magically put into your unconscious to be projected into the universe. They have the same power. So it's not that all these things happened in your past. It's all these things that you unconsciously, out of your conscious awareness, attached. Now, one thing I realized I'd been doing when I really stopped and thought about this, I thought of the word mission. One of the reasons why, quite frankly, I have not had all the success, listen to the modifier, with speed seduction that I would like to have for myself. I mean, I've had a lot of it. But the reason I haven't had all of it that I'd want to have is I realized something. I thought, you know what? What's your mission? When you think about your mission is to help other guys manifest this stuff. You're putting other people first. So naturally, if that's your mission, then that's what the universe is going to give you. So I changed it. Now my mission is it manifests for my students only as fast as it first manifests for me in every possible way I want it to. And the minute I changed that mission statement, a whole bunch of other things started changing for me. Do you get it? So some of you may have had mission statements pounded into your heads by your parents. Well, you're here in this world only to help other people. If you accept that on a deep unconscious level, how are you going to manifest for yourself? I'm serious. How is that any different than a curse? What do we say a curse is? A curse is any construct that what? Let's read back our definition. Curse is this little thing in my back.
It keeps people stuck in a certain identity or condition.
Right. A curse is any construct that keeps people stuck in a certain identity or condition throughout time. Right? Unbounded in time. Well, so if you accept at an early age, your parents say, now remember, you're only here to help other people. And then you want to be successful in something. Are you going to kind of like push your own success away? Are you going to allow yourself to feel pleasure when you do something well that doesn't involve other people? Huh?
Yeah.
Or you could have the opposite response. You become an absolute selfish bastard as a reaction response. Does that make sense? Yes or no? I don't know. I don't know. Sometimes when I teach, I can't tell if it's that you're not following or it's so profound you're like in trance thinking about it. So tell me which it is. How many people are not following at all? Raise your hand. How many people are kind of in trance because you're thinking about the implications? All right. Spend 5 minutes and think about the implications.
I've been revisiting Enneagrams, and I've found them.
Oh, wait. It's this one. Yeah, what were you going to say? Does it relate to this topic?
Yes, it does. Come on. It does.
Are you feeling embarrassed? You get very red when you're embarrassed.
Good. So I'm just wondering in terms of a predisposition to being a certain way. I mean, there may be traumas that people have had.
Yeah.
But there's also, in
predisposition.
In their core. The core
of who they are.
All right.
Who we're using neurolinguistic boogeymen again. I don't believe in cores of who they are.
Well, that was
I don't believe in it.
I believe
it's a neurolinguistic construct of Western culture that is not useful. Eastern culture doesn't believe there's a core of who you are. So, we're looking at all this stuff. And what occurs to me, one of the things that popped into my head is it's not about chronology. It's not about when it happened. But it's about all these things that have been glued. It's sort of like the notion of if all of this is stuck here, I believe it's sort of like, this is just a metaphor. You send out like probability waves that select the events to prove to you that this really is all true. And that's why consciously you're left scratching your ass going, why is it still not working? Well, it is working because on the unconscious level, all the stuff that you're holding is sending out like these probability waves to attract all the stuff to confirm that, yes, it's true. Does that make sense? So it is working, but it's working based on what you've unconsciously put in, not on what you're consciously wishing for. There's a difference between what you're consciously wishing for and what you've unconsciously drawn to you and programmed in. Does that ever feel that way to you? Does your life ever feel like there's a big difference between what you consciously appear to want and what you're actually getting?
Like you're sabotaging yourself?
Yeah. Well, this is what's going on. And magic is a way to completely unbind this. Completely unbind this so you step into some really amazing total freedom. And guess what happens when you do that? You become very attractive. Because people sense, wait a minute, this person is unstuck. I want more of this. This is pretty cool. I want to figure out how to get some. Jan's going, ooh, that's cool. I saw you had a strong response. See, I encourage you all to spend time talking with my buddy Jan, because he doesn't spend time theorizing. He goes right out and tries things just with hilarity. Okay, I'll go try that. Sure, no problem, man. Is that right? I saw your response. You had a strong one, didn't you? Yeah, I know you did. So magic is about creating the templates and the energies and the focus of will. The focus. See, the solution to this, the solution to all this, is where you choose to focus your will, your energy, and what you choose to give meaning. I was talking to a female friend of mine. It's amazing how so many female friends of mine mysteriously develop crushes on me. I don't know how that happened. It's not you. I'm not giving suggestions to you. I'm not. I'm not. I'm really not. I swear on Tabitha's life. When I make that kind of oath, you know I'm not kidding. Anyway. Where was I? Oh, I said to her, look, I said, I know, listen to me, follow this language. I said, I know there are a lot of people who have hurt you in the past. And I know you put up walls to keep pain out. And you're right, that works. It does keep pain out. But what you haven't yet considered is that the walls also keep your limitations in. I said, and you didn't even build those walls. The people who hurt you the most built those walls, and that makes them the architect of your life. Because it requires architects to do that kind of design. So congratulations. Those walls, every time you choose to maintain them, you're choosing to let the people who hurt you the most be the architect of your life. And she went, oh, you're right. So the fact that all this stuff has happened to you in your past, that's all well and good. But it doesn't have to determine what you're going to create or where you go. And part of magic is learning to focus your will. Now, by will, I mean focused attention. This is a good place to start. We're going to go to lunch in half an hour, okay? So this is a good place to start to talk about some of the elements of magic. And we may as well start with this one since we're talking about it. Will. The notion of will is a very strong element of magic. You ever have a wishy-washy daydream that didn't go anywhere? Raise your hand. Okay, will means something else. To me, will means concentrated, focused attention. When a painter or sculptor is totally enmeshed in what they're doing, and they filter out the rest of the world, that's will. That means all your energies, all your focus, all your intent is aligned on one thing. Does that make sense? The irony is, if unconsciously you've got this stuff all running in the background, that's where your will is. Is everyone, who has not seen a laser before in their life? Okay. What's the difference between laser and the light you see coming from here. Who's here a physicist and actually understands lasers, how they work? Coherent light. No one? Well, lasers are coherent. That means they've got one tightly focused, completely resonant beam of energy where all the photons are vibrating at the exact right one frequency. They're all tightly focused together. That's why you can take a laser and bounce it off the moon, but you can't do it. These lights are diffused. You've got all sorts of different frequencies mixing together. So use that metaphor. A wish is like the light coming from this. It's all diffused. But will means everything is focused behind one purpose, one intent. Will has elements of focus, too. You're focused and your intent. Now, there's some traps in that because you need to focus without being attached to the outcome. We'll talk about that. You need at some point to let go of the outcome. If you hold on to the outcome too strongly, it's the equivalent of opening up the oven and checking it every 30 seconds when you're trying to bake a cake. Will is a very important part of magic. You have to have a focused intent. What's another important element of magic? Well, altered state of consciousness. Let's talk about altered state. PD Funhouse. Now, altered state. The last time we did a psychic influence thing, I noticed that the word altar and the word altar are very similar. Altar, you know what an altar is? Like you go up on the altar and receive communion. Altar state. An altar is an object that contributes to your altering your state. What do I mean by altered state, and why are altered states important? Anyone here ever been in an altered state? Anyone here ever have a drug experience? Come on. Anyone here ever have an orgasm? Anyone here ever have an orgasm while in an altered state, having a drug experience? And done something stupid as a result that embarrassed you and you regret over and over and over again. Come on in. What was that? Oh, hotel? Okay. So an altered state is just a state that's different from the one that you were in before. So when we do magic, we want to design an altered state that contributes to our work, not that subtracts from our work. Does that make sense? Yes. Have you ever been in an altered state have you ever been in a state of absolute helplessness where you just felt so frustrated and so confused that you didn't think you could do anything right? Is that a powerful, useful, magical state? Yeah, for your enemy. You want your enemy in that state. What do you think warfare is designed to do? A lot of war is designed to demoralize the enemy so they quit.
And religion.
And religion is designed to demoralize the enemy so they quit. Does that make sense? When you put yourself into that state of learned helplessness where you just feel you can't do anything to address the problem, congratulations, you've created an altered magical state from which to curse yourself. In fact, anything you do within that state is probably going to constitute a curse. So we want to learn to build an altered state where we believe what? That anything is possible? Would that be? What kind of things would you like to put into the altered state when you go to do something magical? If you're truly going to work your will in the universe. By the way, one of the things I found in doing magic is sometimes what you get is not what you projected for. Sometimes you get something a lot better. You learn that what you asked for was based on a limited, structured view of reality that just doesn't make sense for you anymore.